Hello everyone, James Williams again. Andy, Andrash, Barry, what an absolute fantastic session. And I agree with everything that you said. And the key thing there is let the customer choose how they want to be engaged with. Not enough enterprises seem to do that. So fantastic. And thank you, Cheetah Digital. Now, next up is Upstream. And I'm pleased to be joined right now by Kostas Kastanis, who is the Deputy CEO with Upstream. Kostas, hi.
Hi, James. Great to be here.
No, lovely to have you here. And you were talking about a subject which is very close to my heart, because everyone loves to talk about conversational commerce and omni-channel or multi-channel or this or that. But guess what's there? Rock solid with customer engagement, globally ubiquitous. It's SMS.
So I will be talking about SMS and a few other trends shaping digital marketing. Today, my presentation is titled Back to the Future. So there is a bit of going back to the roots.
And I love that movie, 1985, and I'm old enough to remember that movie and seeing it at the cinema new. Kostas, I'll leave you to it and enjoy your session, and I look forward to watching you. Bye.
Thanks a lot, James. So hi to everyone. It's a privilege to be here. So this is Kostas. I'm Deputy CEO of Upstream, and I'm going to be taking you through some of the latest trends shaping digital marketing today. So there is also a presentation to be shared. So if I may ask that this is being posted, thanks a lot. So titled Back to the Future. And why is that? So let me start. So for everyone around digital marketing, these are good days. After the bit slow start in 2020, driven by COVID, looking forward, the macros are there that will drive digital marketing to new and even higher heights. This is driven by what I call the 70-80 milestone. The 70-80 milestone is that within the total media advertising budget, the expectation is that within the next few years, 70% is going to go to digital. And within that 70%, the main driver is mobile, what we are all talking mostly about, which is expected to become 80% of the total digital. So this is what is shaping the market. This is what is shaping the overall growth in digital marketing. And all of that is happening despite some seismic changes affecting the industry. And here I'm talking about changes that are driven by privacy concerns and how Google, Apple, and other big players are reacting to them. Starting with Google, we all know that Google will be abolishing third-party cookies as of 2022. This is already the case in browsers like Firefox and Safari. But Google, with Chrome having 60-70% of the market, this is the real big shift. And in early experiments that Google itself ran, and here's an excerpt from their blog post, they ran an experiment with the top 500 of their publishers by switching on and off cookies, and they figured out, Google themselves, that the monetization ability of publishers was affected by 52%. That's truly a huge impact. Similar are the impact that the changes in iOS 14.5 are having. So with the lack of opt-in on tracking and with this number of tracked users being reduced from around 70% to the mid-teens, again, the expectations is for big app publishers like game publishers, their monetization ability to be getting hammered by up to 50%. So in times like that, it's where getting back to the basics is often the answer. So I want to talk about some basic principles. The first of one is something that all marketers should be doing. Sometimes we have become too much entrenched into the technology underpinning advertising and marketing, but at the end of the day, every marketer needs to know their customers. And within the current trends, knowing your customer means collecting first-party data both for one's existing customer, but also for one's prospective clients. Now, all institutions, all brands, all publishers agree that first-party data is the lifeblood of any brand's marketing effort. There is here a survey done by Nielsen where 86% of marketers surveyed recognize that importance. And there is a series of other players that one way or the other, they keep insisting that first-party data is the answer to the challenges that the industry is currently facing. And the reason for that is that if you have first-party data, that allows you to be running multi-channel campaigns and being able to be telling consistent stories to your existing and prospective clients on your website, on your apps, as a gentleman before we're talking about, on social, on email, obviously, and definitely on push channels like SMS, RCS, and the like. So the power of first-party data is really important to allow you to be running multi-channel campaigns. And if we step back and say, okay, who has a role to play in this new brave digital marketing world? We categorize the world in 4 distinct players, what we call the big guns, the socials, e-commerce, and then a set of new question marks. If you'll allow me to spend a couple of minutes on those categories, for sure you have the 2 players that paved the way. You have Google and Facebook, combined the 50 to 60% of the market. They paved the way and showed that when a company, when an institution has lots of knowledge and data on its user base, then making money off advertising is a no-brainer. I'm not going to get into a philosophical discussion whether this is wrong, this is right. I'm just stating a fact that is knowing your customers and knowing what they tick to will help you make money out of advertising. Going then to a new breed of social networks, so the likes of Snapchat, Pinterest, Reddit. One might even put Twitter over there, who's seen its revenue from advertising increasing over the last few years. Now, I wouldn't go on to say that these are companies that can challenge the duopoly of Google and Facebook, but they are definitely platforms that have niche audiences for which they know what ticks, they know what videos they engage to, they know what pictures they engage to, they know what topics they like talking about. And again, this is a knowledge that has been allowing them over the last year and over the forthcoming years to be growing at a pace which is almost 2.5 times higher compared to the average of the digital advertising industry. But if you would ask me to tell you who can challenge right now the duopoly of Google and Facebook, probably the nearest ones would be the e-commerce heavyweights with Amazon, with Alibaba, with JD.com. Again, a breed of players who are building a lot on the knowledge, on the data they have of their customer base, knowing what they like buying, on what channel they like buying it, and how they use that to aggressively be getting into the advertising space. Again, growing at a pace which is twice as fast as the overall digital marketing industry. So again, a trend to be looked at. And to close it, I have now the family of some big question marks. So some players that they are all to a bigger or lesser extent trying to have a place in this world, what I'm calling Publishers United, ad tech providers built around ID resolution, and mobile operators not really united, mostly divided up to now. So what could these guys do? First of all, you have those interesting experiments like the Ozone Project in the UK or Trust X in the US, who are backed up by really big publishers, the likes of CNN, NBC, Fox News, Independent, and so on and so forth. So the rationale of these guys is very simple. We have huge reach. We know what our audiences like to read, to get engaged in. And at the same time, for every $1 of advertising spent, only 50 cents end up with us, because the other 50 get somewhere trapped in the SSP, DSP platform, Google kind of ecosystem. So the rationale is very simple. Let's take the fate in our hands and let's unite. Let's make an alliance through which we can claim more of that advertising spend. A bit too early to tell, but definitely something to be watching over the next few years. A second, more recent set of players is some ad tech players. The cases of Trade Desk and LiveRamp are the most concrete, that saw an opportunity with the demise of cookies to create an alternative. And the alternative typically is the email account, which is to a great extent a consistent identity for a user. So initially that was met with great expectations. So if you would look at the stock price of Trade Desk, you would see how that was going up. Lately, the market reception is still TBD, and there have been some headwinds, for example, from competition, from Google, that maybe is not that willing and open to letting someone else get a part of the pie that they feel it's their own. So it is another example whereby through data, companies and technology, companies try to get a fair share of this market. Yet another example to be looked at. And lastly, with a disclaimer that Upstream is a company working with mobile operators, a big question mark around mobile operators. Now, imagine if I told you that there is a set of players that can reach 100% of an audience in a country. At the same time, they have a huge wealth of data. They know lots of demographics. They have a fantastic proxy of your financial status through how much money you spent on your phone. And they can also tell a few things about what you like, what you don't like, by figuring out what apps you have on your phone and where you spend your internet time. And at the same time, they also have a fantastic, consistent ID resolution mechanism, that of the mobile phone number. Now, if I would tell you that there's a set of companies that has all of these assets, then it would be a no-brainer that, okay, if you have all of that, you need to be able to make money out of digital advertising. Now, when I reveal that this set of companies are the mobile operators, then question marks start raising. And can they be more than dumb pipes? Can they be more than infrastructure players? So our thesis is that they definitely have the assets, they definitely have the infrastructure. They do need to take a leap of faith and challenge and claim their role in this market. So with that, I'm concluding with the basic principle, the know your customer, first-party data collection, and who can have a role on that. And I'm going to the second basic principle that one needs to get to. You need to talk to people in ways that are willing to hear and respond. And here is, James, where I want to talk about SMS. By now, almost everybody on this planet has a mobile phone. And obviously, SMS marketing is expected to be growing and growing. If we take a step back, and I want to link it with what Andy, the moderator of the previous panel, discussed. Andy said that Gartner published a survey where they expect 80% of advertising spend to start moving towards messaging apps, because there's all this discussion about conversational commerce, conversational marketing, which makes perfect sense. Now, if you think about it, SMS is the older sibling in this family of conversational channels. It was there before chatbots, before the WhatsApps and Vibers and Lines of this world. It was there before RCS. And if it can do something still better than anyone else, it can still reach 100% of the user, irrespective of whether they're logged on, logged off, of whether they have data, they don't have data, they have a feature phone, they have a smartphone. They can reach 100% of the users 100% of the time, with an average response time which is phenomenal, and with an open rate that is unseen. So no other channel can claim. Email cannot even claim such engagement and responsiveness, yet email to date is a much bigger marketing channel. So, okay, obviously this is the typical talk coming from people that are doing SMS marketing. Disclaimer number 2, Upstream is one of those companies, not only doing SMS marketing, but putting it into a greater multi-channel advertising and marketing strategy. The thing is that if you don't believe all those stats, what I will say is that the proof is in the markets, because markets don't lie. So I'm going to bring here the case study of Attentive Mobile. I don't know who's aware of this company. So this is a company, it's a 5-year-old company, a very new one in marketing technology. It has lots of customers, big brand customers, US and Canada only, nowhere else. And in the past 8 months, it has received funding of $700 million out of top-notch VCs like Bain Capital or Sequoia. Now, what this company is doing, it's doing plain vanilla SMS marketing. They're not doing RCS, they're not doing chatbots, they're not doing social, they're not doing search, they're not doing anything. And right now they are the hottest name in marketing technology in the US. And we know that whatever happens in the US is, a trend coming up to take over the entire world in the next few years. So again, maybe you do not trust an SMS marketer telling you so, but the markets are showing towards that direction, that SMS is re-emerging stronger than ever as one of the conversational channels that marketers can be using. Now, rounding things up, again, we'll talk simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, as Leonardo da Vinci said. Knowing your customers and using channels to talk to your customers that they're willing to hear and respond to are the simplest principles of marketing that I would share right now. By the way, we are Upstream, a mobile marketing platform focused on emerging markets, offering multi-channel customer engagement. We do like talking about simple things and finding simple solutions to problems like how do I get to know my existing and prospective customers? How do I execute on this knowledge using SMS and other channels? And how do I move away from vanity metrics like clicks and impressions and getting down to business? So if any of those are matters of interest to you as well, feel free to reach out to me personally, to anyone in Upstream. We are more than willing to be discussing, to be sharing our thoughts and taking that thinking further down. Thanks a lot.
Kostas, thank you so much. And do you know what? I thought I knew a lot about the market. I haven't been very attentive. Yeah, I know. I had never heard of Attentive before. Never, until right now. It's amazing. The amount of money in this business now is amazing. You've got Twilio with an evaluation of 50 billion, Cinch with 11 billion, and there are many, many others out there worth more than $1 billion. So I always say this about the US. It's a very hidden market. There are so many big companies that people haven't heard of. And guess who's going to be trying to get Attentive to become a MEF member? That would be me.
You should. I think the basics behind that is that by now, after what happened with SMS and, the abuse that happened, by now, James, are you getting any SMSs per day?
I do get a decent number of SMS. I am probably the wrong person to ask because I'm the one that signs up. I take off email, I take off everything else, and I keep SMS. So I am all you companies' best customer.
All right.
I'm sorry, but we've got to wrap this up because we're going to be going on to our next one. But thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
It rings true, I'm sure, with the audience. A pleasure seeing you, and I look forward to talking to you again sometime soon. So join myself and my next panelists coming up very soon. Thank you again, Kostas.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.